Hello, everyone. My name's Cash Miller. I'm the host of Emerging Brands Franchises on the Rise. I'm also the CEO of Titan Media Works, a podcast production company. Today, we are going to be talking sports. Sports, I mean, there's so many things, especially the rise of some different sports out there like pickleball. I mean, like sports is ingrained in our society, our people. I've got with me Shane Larkin. He's with End Zone Sports. Shane, it's great to have you on. I'm excited for this episode because, like I say, sports is something I don't care, young, old, we all, if you want to be active at all, sports is always where it's at. And everybody's got something, some favorite sport that they grew up with that, even in their older years, they'll play. So, Shane, tell us a bit about, what End Zone Sports is and your role with the company.
Yeah, so End Zone Sports of America is a youth sports franchise primarily. We got started back in 2008 with a community sports league. Just to give you a little bit of background, the CEO of End Zone is Tony Westbrook, and his son, who's also named Shane and currently works for our team. That never gets confusing in Monday morning meetings, but he was on a T-ball team. He was playing in a T-ball league, and what happened was they went to a game, and Tony was there as one of the volunteer dads coaching with the team. And he heard before his game, he heard another team. It was the Yankees and the Red Sox. The little kids, they give them professional league teams, team names as their mascots or their jerseys. Well, he heard one team chanting, or not the team, the parents in the bleachers saying "Yankees suck." Well, they're chanting this about the little 8 and 9-year-olds on the other side. So Tony was already involved in a lot of youth sports. And he saw these kind of issues, and what he wanted to do by starting End Zone Sports was say, hey, let's do it the right way. Let's get kids out and get them active, but let's teach our parents, who are usually the ones who are going to make or break a sports program. Let's teach them the right way to do it. So our youth sports programs, like I said, started out as youth sports leagues. It turned much more into a community involvement where we do adult sports leagues. We do kids enrichment programs at childcare facilities and schools. But it's really about making sure our communities understand the right way to do youth sports.
Yeah, I think that's really important, especially, people have seen plenty of those viral clips where the parent loses it, it goes attacking some coach or doing something like, ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. Because they didn't like the call and stuff. And then you have the other end of the spectrum where, sports is about competition. It's not, you don't get a participation trophy. It's like, great, thank you for being here. No, okay, you do have a winner and loser, and there's a right way to win. And there's also a right, if you're on the losing end, that's going to happen too, because sports is similar to life. Not everything is, going to be, work out perfectly for you. And you learn from both ends of the spectrum. If you're, on the winning team, great. And if you're on the losing team, yes, that sucks. But, like I say, there are lessons to be learned there, and parents should not be putting down kids of other teams, because that's a horrible, lesson that you're teaching the kids. So I like the concept that you're going with the idea of, we don't just teach the kids, we teach the parents.
Well, yeah. I've been working with End Zone since 2012, and I've been around youth sports for as long as I can remember. I've helped run childcare facilities. I've been high school coach, middle school coach. I've been around sports for a long time, and it's almost never the child or the youth that I can't handle or can't deal with. A lot of times it comes down to the parent or the guardian that's involved. So a lot of what we do is just teaching the right way to interact there and setting a culture from the beginning. Our most important thing isn't the practice portion where we're working with the kid on how to dribble a basketball or throw a football. The most important thing to kick off our seasons are our meet and greets and our coaches meetings, where we're talking to the adults around the situation, saying, guys, let's set a great example for our kids. So, you hit the nail on the head. Youth sports, especially for younger ages, is about finding the balance between the competition and the value in the winning and the losing, and the lessons we can learn about life in that winning and losing. And then also remembering that these are anywhere from 5 to 12-year-old kids who the majority of whom
Yeah.
are not going to be playing at an elite level down the road. And we need to make sure that the game is fun for them. If it's
Yeah.
not fun and it just comes down to the winning and losing, good luck getting them to come back the next season. Good luck getting them to
Yes.
learn the great things about sports. So it's really about finding balance and understanding the lines that you have to walk. And sometimes that includes, getting, cancerous attitudes out of your programs.
Yeah.
And that's really what our team comes down to here at the corporate office is we can teach our franchise owners how to build their business, how to get the right insurance, how to rent field spaces and do all of their marketing plan. The biggest thing we can establish is setting your culture for your programs and then teaching you how to handle those small adverse moments that you're going to experience. And I'll tell you, there's not a ton of parents that are going to be a problem. It's going to be 3 or 4 out of the hundreds that you have in your program.
Yeah.
And you have to temper those relationships throughout a season and try and help those people get better so that your program can thrive.
Yeah, you're going to get that small handful that are a bit overzealous. They're trying to live, vicariously
through
through.
your kids.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's always, so hopefully you avoid them, but occasionally, you're going to have to deal with them. So let's talk, the business model of End Zone, though. You
Sure.
don't focus on brick and mortar locations. So what does a franchise, like the operation and the day-to-day of, an End Zone sports franchise look like, so that people that are thinking of investing understand, what's involved in just doing, running the business?
Yeah. So, being a home-based business is something that it's really a growing model. People are being more and more open to it. When it comes to starting your own business and trying to pull away from the typical 9 to 5 corporate career and get into business ownership, sometimes that can be a scary leap to take. It can take a lot of investment funds. It can take a big commitment to walk away from a job because you now have this facility or this building that you have to operate. So we try to find a balance there. And for our particular brand, what we do as a home-based business is we teach our franchise owners when they come on board, okay, your storefront is going to be your website. Your sales process is going to be your community engagement and the marketing that we're going to teach you how to do. So the day-to-day is really about making sure that we're establishing ourselves by way of executing that marketing plan, by way of keeping our social media and our website up to date, and that we're finding ways to build the brand through engagement. And that's the new world that we live in, is you can build an entire brand right from your cell phone if you want to. But I think the biggest thing for us is getting out and doing some of the old school stuff, like standing in front of somebody and shaking their hand, and introducing yourself, and being at that Chamber of Commerce meeting and supporting other small business owners so that they can support you. That's the kind of stuff that we really lean into, but we also teach it. We teach people how to be comfortable with it because it's almost a forgotten art.
Yeah, you're right about that. Like just simple networking, getting out, being seen in the community.
Yeah.
How does the business, though, generate its revenue? Who are the customers and what are they doing?
Yeah, so obviously through registrations of our programs, just to give you an idea of what the different revenue streams are. Obviously, the Youth Sports League is the original concept, and that's your Saturday morning weekend sports league. Sometimes it'll be like a Friday night, something like that. That's the number one producer for revenue in our system. But the number 2 is a very close second and is constantly building. We actually have a recurring revenue stream called End Zone Junior. And what that is it's an enrichment program that we take to childcare facilities, daycare centers, after school programs, and we teach multi-sport programs to kids. And these primarily, we offer it for 2 to 8 years old, but primarily we're talking about 3 and 4-year-olds, sometimes 5-year-olds. At this stage of sports, kids are learning balance and hand-eye coordination and basic motor skills. They're learning how to listen to a coach or their teacher. They're learning how to play well with others. So
Yeah.
it's not so much about making them the next great athlete. It's more about those other little things that they can get out of the sport. And that program being a recurring revenue stream, End Zone Junior I'm referring to, that one is growing every single day. I have people producing, 6-figure incomes off of End Zone Junior daycare programs by themselves. I have people doing that with the youth sports leagues. They're not doing any End Zone Junior. I've got people doing a little bit of both. So that's kind of the cool thing about us is, we have people who come on board and say, hey, I'm more available during the week, not the weekend. Okay, let's focus on End Zone Junior. Or I'm more available on the weekend and I've got my weekdays kind of set. Let's focus more on the leagues for you. I'd like to engage the adult community. How can I do that with sports? Okay, let's go over what our adult sports offerings are, whether it's pickleball or kickball or flag football or soccer. So there's different things that we can do when somebody comes on board to say, hey, let's make this fit and design for what you are able to accomplish and get you on the map as a small business owner so that you can start to grow and build towards the future you actually envision for your family.
Yeah. So you go ahead and, depending on like, I would assume you divide into like different age groups, for the sports and such.
Yep.
And then you've got certain sports, for those age groups, and you're basically running the leagues, so they go to that franchisee's website, see what leagues and sports are going on, when they're going to be playing, where they're going to be playing, because they arrange the actual locations, register through the site, pay the fees, through the site. And so, I am curious about this because it's like, say I wanted to start like I'm thinking of leagues and teams, so say you had a basketball league and you say, okay, we're going to put together a basketball league. We're going to, each team's going to have maybe 6 players and we're going to have a 6-team league. So if I came to that franchisee and I said, hey, I want to organize this league, can you help with this? Then we partner up and say, and End Zone's going to take the revenue. I just want to be able to play basketball and something organized, can it look like that where, you get, so that's where your kind of networking community part comes in and say, hey, this is what we do. We actually help put these together, get other people, because you might be able to get your own team together, but that might be the end of it. And we'll help facilitate getting the rest of the league together. Is it kind of like that?
Well, that's not the primary concept as far as our youth leagues go, but we have absolutely had people come to us and say, hey, we've got a facility, we've got a desire, we've got people who want to engage in this. Can you help us put this together? You've got a website, you've got a brand and a following. Can we get behind you guys and put this together? I've experienced it myself, but just to give you an idea, I'm getting ready to start in my community, in my franchise location. I'm getting ready to start a youth basketball league that starts in January, an indoor youth basketball league at a local school. We had to reach out to this school about renting a gym. And now we're putting our marketing out. We've got an agreement with them for the facility. We've got an agreement with another facility for the weeknight practice. And now we're marketing and people are coming in and saying, hey, I want my kid to play. I saw about your program. I want them to have activities this winter. So they sign up. We build out the teams according to age groups. We help get the coaches in place and order jerseys and get referees. And we get that league running and operating. But on the adult sports side, that's absolutely a thing. You were mentioning, when we discussed before that you personally like to play and pick up basketball games. That's how my adult flag football league came together. Is I had a bunch of guy friends that, they were like, hey, we want to do this. We had played some games before, but they wanted to do it as a league. And so we got members of the community and some small businesses together, kind of like you would think of a softball league where it's, companies sometimes put a team into it. And that's kind of how it happened. I've got an entire team in my adult flag football league that's all guys that work together at FedEx. I'm trying to get UPS to come and bring a team out so I can see them play with each other on a weekly basis.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
No, and that's what I was wondering is like, because End Zone acts as that facilitator, though, to be able to bring these leagues together, because you need structure. And a lot of people, if they were to try to do it on their own, they don't have any structure, let alone find the facilities, the places to play, whether it's, a park that's appropriate, an
Yeah.
indoor gym, wherever it might be, let alone signups, additional teams. Cause,
Yeah.
even, okay, great. You can get enough people together to occasionally show up and, play a game, but not necessarily to actually have some real competition over
Yeah.
time and play with other people, and against other teams. So that's the thing. So that's what End Zone can help facilitate on the, adult, but also youth level. And then, you've got your junior version, which really helps with, younger children first learning sports, hand-eye coordination, because things like that. So that's where that opportunity comes in too.
Yeah, and that's that's really what we hang our hat on is when you come on as a franchise owner, we're not going to say, hey, you need to go make some phone calls and try and figure out how to run a field. We already know how to do that. We know what that conversation is like. So we're going to pick up the phone and we're going to say, hey, you're living in Detroit in this community, and these are the school districts, parks and recs, private locations. We're going to hop on the phone and we're going to help you have those conversations so that we can help you get this organized. And in that first 6 to 12 months as a business owner, we put a lot of it on our team, and allow our owners to watch and absorb, those teachings so that then they can continue to execute it and build their brand. But, that's really the main point is, we know how to do it. We've got curriculums, we've got a plan and a model, and we'll teach you how to make it work.
Yeah, well, that's really good because that means you've got a solid support structure, because this kind of a franchise is going to be something a little bit different for people. It's not, let's say it's not brick and mortar. So there's going to be, I think, a little bit more of a learning curve, but you're making sure that that's not an issue either, because, you're going to help the franchisee get off the ground and running, set up those, the initial, get the marketing going, get the initial venues set up, help get those first, leagues and, formed and revenue coming in, because they don't even, no matter, until they do, you can give all the training in the world, but until they do, they don't really know what they don't know.
Right.
But you've got a really good idea. So you're helping cover that gap, right?
Well, yeah, and of course. And so I didn't say this at the beginning like a crazy person, but my role is actually the director of franchise development. So when somebody new comes on, I'm the one who I train them, I put them through their class, and I'm the one primarily holding their hand. Now, we've got other coaches on our team that will assign people to, but it's primarily my responsibility to make sure that we're walking people through the process. And, as a low cost franchise, there's a lot of expensive franchise concepts out there. We're not really one of them, all in for less than $40,000 to get your own custom website and all of the branding and all of our support and our model. We're incentivized to make sure that you as the franchisee, the business owner, are successful, because obviously the main exchange between a franchise owner and a franchisee is the royalty, is our 8% royalty that we have in place. And so if we're just hanging our hat on sales, we don't want to be primarily a sales organization. We want to be a sports organization. And so we need to teach you how to do good sports programs. And then if we teach you how to do that well, and your revenue is high and your royalty is coming in, then you're happy. We're happy because we're growing from that, and we're able to advance the brand, and your community is better for it. So yeah, we really hang our hat on our support and development.
Yeah, well, that's really important, like I say, because with your type of franchise, and especially being a home-based opportunity, you need as much support as you can possibly get. Let's talk about that. That all-in number. How does that break down? Because you say you can get in for $40,000 dollars, which is a really good. It's an affordable opportunity for a lot of people. How does that money break down? What does it go towards? And then let's get into the sales piece a little bit.
Yeah, so the franchise fee itself starts at $28,750. Okay, and that is the franchise fee. That's the territory. That's your website. That's everything. There's no additional fees that come on top of that at that time of purchase for the franchise. Now there are larger territory options. If somebody, wants to go bigger than the 100 to 150,000 population option that we have at that base level, they can get a larger area. Honestly, that's a pretty large group to be able to start with in a community. It generally covers multiple zip codes. Sometimes if you're, in Dallas or something like that, that might be one zip code. But for the most part, that's going to cover multiple zip codes and towns within your community so that you can engage a large amount of people and establish leagues over, various locations. So a lot of our people come on at the base option. Then on top of that, what we ask people is to have, $7,000 to $10,000 set aside, so that when you're getting, one of the biggest problems in starting small businesses is people don't set aside enough capital for getting their business off the ground. A lot of times they'll put all of it that they have into the investment, into the opportunity, and now they're operating broke and they're trying to get revenue in because they have to spend it right back out. Well, that's a bad place to be. We don't want our people coming on board too soon if they're not in a position to make sure that they have operating capital set aside. So that's why I say all in at less than 40 is because 28,750. And if you've got an extra 10 set aside, we can, I'll give you an example. One of our new franchise owners is kicking off this weekend. He trained in July. He started marketing August 8th for his first ever indoor basketball season. He's in Bend, Oregon. He followed the plan to a T. We have a weekly call with him, and he followed step by step what we asked him to do. He's starting his first ever basketball league, never run sports programs before, never been around that. And he's kicking off a basketball league this weekend with 225 kids. And he's absolutely pumped about it.
I would be too.
He's just blown about this first indoor basketball season that he's got. And it only took him a couple of months. I mean, he started building revenue within 30 days after being trained, purchasing and being trained. He had revenue coming in.
That's really solid. And 225 kids, I mean, that's, I say I played youth basketball.
Kids, so you can have an idea in your head. $150 a kid for an 8-week season.
Okay, so we get in the money, and I always like to ask the question, or a couple of questions. If you can, tell us like what over time, you've got a track record of franchisees, what's the kind of the upper limit of, from a sales standpoint, that a franchisee might be able to, bring in over the course of a year? That'd be my first question.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's important to be transparent and realistic. We're not purchasing $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 business here. I'll have people come on and looking into this franchising world, and they're like, "Am I going to be able to make $500,000 by year 2 or $1 million?" And let's be realistic. If you're able to come on to a business, a community sports business, for 30 grand, I have franchise owners who are about 24 months to 32 months into it. They got started right after things kind of opened back up after COVID. Example, my largest franchise location is Las Cruces, New Mexico. Started his first program in April of 2021. I know, random town, right?
Yeah. I've been through Las Cruces. So that's pretty random.
Yeah, pretty random, right? He's got over 700 kids in his league, and he's producing north of, $300,000 a year in his franchise. Now, that's not an earnings projection, but he put, his head down and he grinded and he followed the process as we told him to. He was on calls with us all the time. And now he's out there executing the plan perfectly, not even doing End Zone Junior at the daycares. And that's what he's producing.
Well, so here's the thing about that too, because everybody says, depending on the type of business, it's got to do $1 million or $2 million or whatever. But you have to consider what you mentioned earlier, the investment, and also the actual operating costs, because how much of a staff does that guy have beyond himself, if anything? He
does. So here's something else to learn about youth sports organizations. we're only as good as the people we put around our business. And that's true in a lot of businesses. But the great thing about youth sports is the model is kind of used to having parents be involved in the coaching aspect of our leagues
Sure.
as volunteers. We do that and we lean into it, but we do it differently. We do a lot of things to show our appreciation and to incentivize those parents for their involvement. And when we get a good parent coach involved, we find ways to make sure that they want to stay with our program. We do coaches games where we allow them to get out on the field and have fun. We do, we do meals and nights out. We do a potluck at the end of the season at some of our locations. We're doing different things in our model. Free registrations for those parents, different things that are going to, bless them, bless their kids, and make sure that they want to stay involved in the program. So, yes, there is a staff overhead. There is field rental costs. But when the team that you're working with is an expert at finding you the best location for the best price and, the best insurance policies and the best price jersey and like those kind of things, if we've already gotten into a rhythm with keeping things efficient and really affordable on that end, then the more registrations that you add to the mix, your margin is just widening and widening and widening because you really – you cross that profit line and, hey, your break even's at like 75 kids your first season. He's at 700 kids.
Yeah.
So he's doing pretty well.
Yeah. And you're going to, as you have more kids, you're going to take on some more staff. But I would assume any kind of full or part-time staff that you're actually hiring is not that heavy. And then, if you're getting the parents really involved, that's a way cheaper way to do it. And also they become some of your best recruiters,
They absolutely.
I remember playing
on the head with that.
Yeah. I remember I played a couple of seasons on Boys and Girls Club, basketball league. And it was a bunch of our, me and my friends, and then one of the kids on the team, a friend of all of ours and stuff, his father was the coach, and they were all everybody was real passionate about it. We wanted to play and have a great time. And the coach was teaching us everything. And if he had had this kind of thing, back in the day, I can totally see how they would have, really leaned into it, because you're going to have those parents that are passionate. They want to, volunteer their time because they're also spending time with their own kids too.
Yeah.
And those are things that make memories. So I think it's a good business model. Like you got to spend some time, it's intensive. This is a hands-on type business model, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it is for the leagues more so than the End Zone Junior model. And to give you an example on the End Zone Junior model, it's more of a manager style model where you're managing a schedule of coaches that are going to, like I said, daycares, childcare facilities to teach 30-minute, 40-minute enrichment programs to kids. But just to give you an understanding of the revenue opportunity there, our largest End Zone Junior operator is in East Cobb. He's North Atlanta. And his name is Tyson. He's been with us operating End Zone Junior program since 2014. And he currently has about 40 schools that he interacts with. And he just crossed 1,000 kids in his program at an auto renewal each month of $55 a month.
Wow. 1,000 kids.
Yep. 1,000 kids over 40 schools. And his cost of operating these programs is right around a third, right around 30, 33%. So his profit margin's phenomenal. And his day job is really just managing people's schedules and interacting with daycare managers, childcare facility directors, and making sure that they're happy with the program, managing some auto payment. Getting emails out, like that's what his job is. And he's able to go out and take pictures of programs and play with some kids. And that's his day job.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's definitely worse day jobs than that. I mean, it took him time to build up, but he's built up. I was just doing the math in my head, and he's built a good. Yeah, he's doing just fine. And he worked at it. Like any business, you have to work at it.
Yeah.
But he's seeing the success, and that's the thing. Any kind of business, it's always going to be, whether you're a franchise or not, it's what you put into it.
Absolutely. I
Effort
don't
in
believe in the
is,
term turnkey. Just so that, like,
yeah,
I think turnkey is a terrible phrase to tell somebody about a business, because
yeah,
you don't turn a key in a car and it comes on and that's your business. You, as a small business owner, it's important to understand that there is a grind to it, and that's why we tell people we want to take as much of that grind, of that process away from you by doing, when you kick off with us, by doing weekly calls, by
yeah.
letting you be on mute and listen to us have phone conversations with people, by letting us break out your rosters the first time around so that you can see how we do it and learn from it, because there is
Mm-hmm.
a grind to it. Once you've learned that stuff from us, if you put your head down and you hustle, the coolest thing, and you said, by the way, former military, so thank you for your service,
Oh, yeah,
just
thanks.
past Veterans Day. Another one of our largest franchise locations is just outside is Fayetteville, North Carolina,
Okay.
and a former military member. And he's a guy. He always kind of says that, he's great at taking orders. And we gave him orders at the beginning. They weren't orders. They were like, hey, follow this process and you'll do well. But that's just his mindset. And
Mm-hmm.
he grinded out. Now he's got a league of 550, almost 600 kids in a small town, a military town. And,
Mm-hmm.
he's built himself a great business that he's extremely proud of, and he's growing every day. And it's like, all you have to do is just put in that little bit of extra time. Know people's names when they come out to the field. Make sure that you're engaging with people and that you're protecting your
Mm-hmm.
staff and making sure that they're being respected. It's doing those little things as a business owner that really can set you apart in something as community-based as what we are.
Yeah, well, that's a perfect note to wrap this episode up. Shane, if they want to get into End Zone Sports, how would people get a hold of you and find out more about this opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way that you guys can learn is, you go to endzonesportsfranchise.com. There's some great videos, some testimonials that you guys can learn about. There's also a form at the top that you can fill out, give us some basic information that you're interested in learning about our youth sports franchise opportunity, and we'll reach out to you and we'll start to teach you and walk you through that learning process. We want people to know it's a very comfortable experience. We want to make sure you have as much information as possible so you can make an informed decision. So reach out to us and we'll show you guys what we're all about here at the End Zone Sports brand, and hopefully we can help you achieve your goals of becoming a small business owner.
Yeah, End Zone Sports is a great opportunity, and as we know, in this day and age of social media, kids spend too much time, adults spend too much time, on social, glued to the screens. Sports are important. We need to be. Yeah, we need to be getting, everybody needs to be out there, and organized leagues is a great way to do it. There's structure to it. You can enjoy it a great deal. And everybody's got a little bit of a competitive bone in their body, so occasionally you got to nurture it and let's say you enjoy yourself. Plus, it's great exercise at the end of the day.
Yes, sir.
So if you're looking for a great sports franchise, End Zone Sports has got it going on. Definitely give them a shout. My name's Cash Miller. I'm the host of Merging Brands, CEO of Titan Media Works podcast production. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you, everybody.